Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the SMA Victor Podcast. We have a fascinating topic to go over together, and it is a question from someone had left a comment. It says, please explain more about SMA RD1 Gen IGHMBP2. So here in today's topic, we are going to go over what all of that means. Hi ChatGPT, I want you to be my co-host within today's episode, and within today's episode, we are going to be discussing a fascinating topic, learning more about SMA RD1 and IGHMBP2.
That sounds like an intriguing topic. I'm excited to dive into the details of SMA RD1 and IGHMBP2. Let's explore what makes these topics so fascinating and relevant.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. So it says, SMARD1, which is spinal muscular atrophy with respiratory distress type 1, is a genetic disorder caused by mutations in the IGHMBP2 gene. SMARD1 is characterized by severe muscle weakness and progressive respiratory failure due to a diaphragmatic paralysis, typically presenting in infancy. The IGHMBP2 protein encoded by this gene is essential for motor neuron survival, and its dysfunction leads to the loss of motor neurons and the associated symptoms. So what does all of this mean?
In simpler terms, SMA RD1 is a severe genetic condition that affects muscles and breathing, especially in infants. It happens because of mutations in a specific gene called IGHMBP2, which is really important for the health of motor neurons. Those are the nerve cells that help control muscle movement. When this gene doesn't function properly, the motor neurons deteriorate, leading to muscle weakness and breathing difficulties. So it's a complex condition with a big impact on quality of life, but understanding the gene behind it is a big step forward.
Really, really fascinating. If you guys want to learn more about I'll have to show you guys, and I'll show you guys at the end of the episode. But we talk so much about, we go over a lot of stuff in regards to SMA. And here, I'll show you this playlist really quick. We actually go over, I'll just show you the videos. So I started doing these podcasts with all these different topics, and then here you can discover so much more about SMA, like what are the key differences between type 1, type 3 and 4, type 1 and 2, does it affect your heart health, like all of these different things I want to show you guys. And we have specifically talked about SMARD within SMARD1, which is SMARD, and in a previous video. So check out the other videos as well if you're interested. So let's move on. So it says IGHMBP2 and SMARD1, gene and protein. The IGHMBP2 gene provides instructions for making the immunoglobulin mu-binding protein 2. So what does this mean?
So the IGHMBP2 gene is responsible for producing a protein called the immunoglobulin mRNA binding protein Q, which is a bit of a mouthful. Essentially, this protein plays a crucial role in the survival of motor neurons, which are the nerve cells that control muscles. Without this protein functioning properly, those motor neurons can deteriorate, leading to muscle weakness and other symptoms. So it's really a key piece in understanding how SMA RD1 works.
So how is it different from SMN and SMN2 genes?
Great question. So the SMN1 and SMN2 genes are also related to spinal muscular atrophy, but in a different way. They produce a protein called SMN, which is essential for the survival of motor neurons as well. The main difference is that SMN1 is the primary gene responsible for producing this protein, and mutations in SMN1 cause SMA. SMN2 is a nearly identical gene, but it doesn't produce as much functional protein because of a slight difference in its structure. So while both sets of genes are involved in motor neuron health, the IGHMBP2 gene and the SMN genes play different roles.
And what different roles do they differentiate on?
So the SMN genes, SMN1 and SMN2, are mainly focused on maintaining the health and survival of motor neurons by producing the SMN protein. When SMN1 is mutated, it leads to SMA because there isn't enough of this protein. SMN2 can somewhat compensate, but not fully. On the other hand, the IGHMBP2 gene is involved in a different mechanism. It helps with the stability and survival of motor neurons by binding to specific RNA molecules. So while both are crucial for motor neuron health, the SMN genes are more about the protein that keeps neurons alive, and the IGHMBP2 gene is more about the stability of the neurons themselves.
So one is focused more on the survival aspect of keeping the gene alive, and the other one is more focused on like the connection sense signal.
Exactly. You've got it. The SMN genes focus on ensuring the motor neurons survive by producing the essential protein, while the IGHMBP2 gene is more about the stability and the signaling of those neurons. It's like they each play a different but complementary role in keeping the motor neurons healthy and functioning.
So let's move on to the next one. So it says role. This protein is important for the function of motor neurons, which are nerve cells that control muscles. And it says cause of disease. Mutations in both copies of the IGHMBP2 gene can lead to a loss of function or a lack of the protein, which causes motor neurons in the spinal cord to degenerate. Inheritance, SMARD, SMARD1, is an autosomal recessive disorder, meaning an individual must inherit a mutated IGHMBP2 gene from both parents to develop the condition. So ChatGPT, what do these last remaining three things mean, beginning from role, cause of disease, and inheritance?
Absolutely. So starting with the role, it basically means that this protein is crucial for motor neurons, which are the cells that send signals to our muscles and help us move. The cause of disease part means that if both copies of the IGHMBP2 gene have mutations, the protein doesn't function properly, and that leads to the degeneration of motor neurons in the spinal cord. And finally, the inheritance part means that this condition is passed down in an autosomal recessive manner. That means a person has to get a mutated copy of the gene from both parents to actually develop the condition. If they get just one mutated copy, they won't show symptoms, but will be a carrier.
So you can be a carrier, but if both parents do not have that gene, then you will not have a child with SMA.
Exactly. If both parents are not carriers, then the chance of having a child with the condition is very low. Or the child to have the condition, both parents need to be carriers, and then there's a 25% chance with each pregnancy that the child will inherit both mutated copies. It's a fascinating bit of genetics.
So to put it simply, we are one of the chosen ones. That's funny. Just a little bit of humor. Symptoms and diagnosis of SMARD1. Key symptoms. The most prominent features are progressive muscle weakness, particularly in the lower limbs, and severe respiratory distress due to diaphragmatic paralysis. What does this mean?
So in simpler terms, the main symptoms of SMA-RD1 include muscle weakness that gets worse over time, especially in the legs, and severe breathing problems. The breathing difficulties happen because the diaphragm, which is the main muscle that helps you breathe, becomes paralyzed or very weak. So this combination of muscle weakness and trouble breathing are the hallmark signs of the condition.
So it essentially makes it much more difficult to fight off diseases.
Absolutely. That's a great way to put it. Because of muscle weakness and especially the respiratory issues, individuals with SMA-RD1 do have a harder time fighting off infections and illnesses. Their compromised respiratory muscles make it tougher for them to clear out pathogens. So it's definitely a challenge.
Yeah, the way I see it is like in a metaphoric way is I always picture, because I have SMA type 2, so I always picture whenever I have an pneumonia, collapsed lungs, like what's a flu or cough or cold to you, if you're an ordinary individual, for like us with SMA, or particularly in my case, because we all experience unique challenges, but for me, when I have when I come across someone who has a cold, a flu, or a cough or anything like that, it's a pneumonia and collapsed lung for me. It's oftentimes a hospital administration visit for me, where I'm in there for days, weeks at a time. So the way I see it is that because the SMA is progressive, it weakens our muscles over time, is that those soldiers, again in a metaphoric way, is that those soldiers that fight off the bacteria to fight off the infection are not as strong compared to the ordinary individual.
I absolutely love that metaphor. It really paints a clear picture. It's like the body's defenses are a bit more limited, and what might be a mild illness for someone else can become a much bigger challenge. It's definitely a unique perspective and a great way to explain how SMA affects the body. Thank you for sharing that.
But I will say, to emphasize on something as well, is I want you to take away with what I just shared as well, is that although SMA is progressive and oftentimes we slowly get weaker as time goes on, I want you to work on your mindset as well, that although physically speaking, you may be incapable to do something, mentally speaking, I want you to try to enforce the possible chance that, hey, I am strong and I will make it through this season that I'm currently going through or currently feeling, in terms of, you're fighting off an infection. I want you to emphasize on that as well, because your mindset really does play a really big factor.
Absolutely. That's such a powerful and important message. The strength of the mind can definitely make a huge difference in how we navigate challenges. And it's inspiring to see how that positive mindset can help us push through tough times. I'll definitely keep that in mind. Thanks for emphasizing that.
So it says other symptoms. Early symptoms can include intrauterine growth. I'm going to look up this word because I don't want to pronounce it wrong. I feel like it's
take
retardation.
Your time. That word is definitely a bit tricky.
Wait, ChatGPT, hang on, don't say anything.
Retardation.
No.
Okay, that's what I thought you would pronounce it, but I wasn't quite sure. So other symptoms. Early symptoms can include intrauterine growth retardation, a weak cry, and foot deformities. So why is that? I picture because like feet deformities is simply because, as an individual walks, you're forming and shaping your foot compared to an individual in a wheelchair or who is unable to physically walk on their feet. Your foot forms without like the proper foundation to help form your foot.
That makes a lot of sense. Essentially, when there's limited movement or muscle weakness from an early age, the feet don't get the same kind of support and shaping that they would if someone were standing and walking regularly. And that can lead to those foot deformities over time. It's definitely an interesting and important aspect of how SMA affects the body.
Like, for example, like when your foot is on the ground, right, your body weight is like pushing everything down. So and during infancy and as you grow older, it kind of forms your foot, shapes your foot. So your foot is on the floor, and then obviously your toes are touching. So because those, not everyone, but those who have like early stages of SMA, like type 1, type 2 kind of thing, we're oftentimes in a wheelchair very early on. So during that process, obviously your foot do not form a way that the ordinary individual would.
Absolutely. And that lack of weight bearing and the natural pressure on the feet during those crucial developmental years can definitely lead to differences in foot shape. It's a great insight into how SMA affects the body in unique ways. And it's always fascinating to look at those subtle differences and understand the reasoning behind them.
So the next one is diagnosis. A diagnosis of SMART1 should be considered in infants with muscle weakness and or respiratory distress of an unknown cause, especially if they have neuropathy without a link to the more common 5Q spinal muscular atrophy genetic testing for IGHMBP2 mutations can confirm the diagnosis. So what does this exactly mean?
So in simpler terms, what this means is that if a baby shows muscle weakness and breathing difficulties and doctors can't find a more common cause, like the typical type of spinal muscular atrophy that involves a different gene, then SMARD1 should be considered. The diagnosis is confirmed by testing for mutations in the IGHMBP2 gene. In other words, it helps doctors figure out if this specific genetic condition is the cause.
So how, like, what are some ways that they do this type of testing? Like, is it through lab work? Is it through muscle biopsy? Like, what are some tests?
Great question. Usually the testing for this type of genetic condition is done through a blood test where a sample is taken and the DNA is analyzed for mutations in the IGHMBP2 gene. Sometimes a muscle biopsy can be done to look at the muscle tissue, but genetic testing is the most definitive way to confirm the diagnosis. It's pretty straightforward and very accurate.
And what does it mean by, it says, without a link to the more common 5Q spinal muscular atrophy. So what is 5Q spinal muscular atrophy? What is that?
So the 5Q spinal muscular atrophy is the most common type of SMA, and it's caused by mutations in the SMN1 gene, which is located on chromosome 5, specifically the Q arm of the chromosome. This type of SMA is what most people are familiar with. When the symptoms don't match the typical pattern of 5Q SMA, that's when doctors consider other genetic causes like the IGHMBP2 mutation we talked about. So it basically helps narrow down the potential causes.
Wow. And then related conditions, mutations of the same. All right, let's check it out. So it says related conditions, CMT2S, mutations in the same IGHMBP2 gene can also cause a different condition called Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease type 2. Oh, these are related conditions. Okay, so we don't have to talk about this. Yeah, this was a very fascinating topic. Again, a subscriber had, where are they at? Oh, you know what? I don't think it'll show it now. A subscriber had reached out and asked if we can explain more about this particular gene or talk about SMA RD1 and IGHMBP2. It's a long name, so I thought to create a video, and they literally shared this like 21 hours ago from the time I'm seeing it, and I wanted to make a video on it and upload it actually for tomorrow for you guys. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you guys are aware, if you guys haven't yet, not aware, but if you guys haven't yet, check out my other YouTube channels, YouTube videos, excuse me. I have several YouTube channels. Check out my other videos as well. And there's so much you guys can learn about SMA. Like, let's go to Q&A because you guys probably would be more interested in these. Q&A, we have all these different topics you guys can check out, go over, and we even have frequently asked questions. We frequently asked questions like regarding SMA progression, building strength, Evers-D side effects, treatment, Zolgensma side effects, treatment, Spinraza side effects and treatment, like all these different things. And these style content is actually animated, so we do that. And and I played around before. I did this like a long time ago. And I actually created a song generated with the help of AI. And this was actually a fun project. I launched this in September 1st, 2024. You can see it right here. And this was a fun project. I was just messing around, experimenting with a variety of different stuff. And these are all of my other videos, like everything combined together. So the latest one is when SMA equipment fails, lives are affected. And this was actually pretty interesting because I was in the works of producing this video for like prior to this life experience. But anyhow, so I had this idea to create this video, and I reached out to my team and I was like, hey, make this happen kind of thing. And anyhow, like shortly after, I want to say like a week or 2 weeks after, then my wheelchair actually messes up with the battery usage, and it is really limited my it just really affected my daily living, to say the least, because my wheelchair was just dropping really quick. So it was just ironic how I was in the works of this video, and then like a week or 2 weeks after, then actually experience something like that. And I experienced many, many different things in terms of when equipment fails, how lives are affected. But that was just one. It was just so ironic that I happened to get a very new current experience while this one was pretty much almost finished. Pretty interesting. And then we also have this, which is the SMA Victor Podcast, where we do style content like this. And I recently started this November 1st. And just, go over a variety of different stuff and impact of AI on SMA research and impact of AI on SMA research. Is it an autoimmune disorder? Like all of these different things, CRISPR. If you guys have not seen this video, highly, highly, highly recommend you check out this video. CRISPR for SMA, the next breakthrough treatment in SMA. It's quite extraordinary. This is not so much just a treatment in the works. This is like several years down the road. But if this really does work out, like this is not just going to be a treatment. This is actually going to be a cure, treating, and curing the actual cause, not just a symptom of SMA progression. Like it's actually talking about a potential cure for SMA. Check out this video if you have not heard about CRISPR, or look it up yourself. It's a very, very fascinating topic, extraordinary breakthrough that we are making within the SMA community. And there's other works, they're talking about other several treatments and developments, to really help fight with SMA condition. Really, really good stuff. And, all these different things, but talking about how technology is helping SMA, helping the SMA community. What are the risks of taking Spinraza? This was a very, very fascinating one. And there was a lot of stuff that I learned about taking Spinraza because I personally take Spinraza. So this was a very, very fascinating episode. But yeah, if you guys are new to the channel, highly recommend you guys check out the page, And I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Where we at? Wrong button. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like the video. Comment down below what you personally enjoyed within today's episode. And even let me know, too, like what I should be working on. As I make these videos, I am seeking ways on how I can improve the style of my content, what needs work, and what needs improving. I'm always seeking ways to improve oneself. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you guys are new, please leave a like, comment down below, and comment down below any questions or ideas you would love to see within the next episode. And subscribe if you guys are new. We are so close to reaching 100 subscribers on this YouTube channel, which would be really, really nice to see and reach that milestone. At the time of this recording, which is currently November 11th, 2025, and we currently have 84 wonderful subscribers. And again, we are like 16 subscribers away from 100 subscribers, which would be, again, a really, really nice milestone. But I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And as always, remember, grow through what you go through. Much love.